Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss about DC to DC converter in brief, right? Especially we are going to discuss about the DC to DC converter in terms of buck type, right? Why we need DC to DC converter? That's our first question. We need DC to DC converter in order to convert unregulated DC supply into a regulated supply. That means your input is unregulated DC supply, your output will be regulated one. Whatever output voltage you need, you can get it from that, right? In that area, we are going to discuss about buck converter. Buck converter is nothing but a step down converter, right? Step down converter in the sense, whatever input voltage you are giving, that input voltage will be reduced based upon your requirement, right? It is similar to a transformer in the case of AC. It will step down the voltage in the case of AC transformer. In the case of DC, we will be using buck converter to reduce the voltage, right? Where we need buck converter? Next our question is, right? We need buck converter in electric vehicles especially because our voltage from the battery is around 48 volt or 24 volt, but our infotainment system may need 5 volt or 12 volt. We have to step down that particular 48 volt to 5 volt or 12 volt. For that purpose, we will be using this buck converter. Let me give a brief theoretical introduction about this buck converter, and later on I will move on to a simulation part. In that simulation part, I will show you how to simulate this buck converter in the board, and later on we will move on to the system so that we will simulate the entire buck converter in detail, right? First, let me explain the theoretical concept of buck converter. Let me draw the circuit first. So this is our input side. I am writing BS, right? Next we need a switch. So since it is DC supply, I have mentioned plus minus. Next to that we need a switch for buck converter. It can be either MOSFET or BJT, whatever switch we may use, right? Next we need a control circuit, right? Next one is we need a diode for its operation, and next one is inductance, and then capacitance, and then whatever may be the load. I am going to use resistive load, so I am going to put resistive load. So let me name it. This is R load, this is capacitance, this is inductance, this is freewheeling diode, and this is BJT, or I can use slash MOSFET or IGBT, whatever my need requirement is, I can change it, right? This is my control circuit. So this has to be connected anywhere else. Based upon our needs, we are going to adjust the, based upon your output needs, you can adjust the control circuit input such that your gating pulse can be adjusted, right? Let me explain the operation of this circuit. There are, in simple we can say there are two operating modes. First mode, when the switch is closed, right? I will draw that circuit. I have removed this control part. So now first case, our switch is closed, right? It may be MOSFET or BJT as I mentioned earlier. During this condition, your diode will be, freewheeling diode will be open circuited. So what happens whenever you close the switch, the current starts flowing. This is your supply current, and it starts flowing through this inductive and capacitive component. I will rename it as IL, and then it will be flowing through this capacitance that is represented as IC, and finally it will be flowing through this load, resistive load, that is represented as I load. Like that I am representing it, right? So the current path will be like this. It starts from here, it charges the inductor, it charges the capacitor, right? Again it will be flowing through the load and it will be returning back. So like this it will be, right? This is also IC. This is the part when the switch is closed. This is one mode of operations. When switch is closed, it will be operating like this. During this condition, what happens? This inductor and capacitor will be charged, and this freewheeling diode will be in open circuit condition. That means it will not operate. Next case is we are going to open our switch. That is during T off condition. This diagram represents T on condition. Hope you are clear. T on, what happens? This is the operation. Now we are going to move on to T off. Let me change the diagram. Now as I mentioned earlier, this switch should be open now, T off condition. Let us see what happens. Now this freewheeling diode will be coming into conduction, so it will be short circuited or it will be closed one. So now what happens, this part of the circuit will be eliminated, remaining part of the circuit is this inductance, this capacitance, this resistive load. Now the stored charges in the inductor will be flowing, right? It will be flowing like this. This is your second part, stored charges in inductor as well as capacitance will be flowing through your load. So during the case of turn on condition, your inductance will be charged. During the case of turn off condition, the stored charges in the inductor as well as capacitor. Capacitor also charges stored in the case of turning on condition, right? So turn off, in turn off both the charges will be dissipated and it will be flowing through the load as you seeing in the diagram, right? Next, let me draw the waveform of this so that it will be easy to understand for you. So simple, this x-axis represents time and y-axis I am going to represent it as input voltage, right? Let me, condition is turn on and turn off, right? During turn on I will be drawing like this, and during turn off I will be representing like this. Again during turn on it will be going on, right? This is our supply voltage, right? So what I said, what about our inductor current? What happens to the inductor current during turn on and turn off? Let me explain, right? This is IL, inductive current. During turn on condition, what happens? Initial portion, let it be here, right? The current rises, that means the current increases in the inductance, right? It starts from I1 and it reaches I2, right? This is during T on condition. When you are turning off, what happens? The stored charges in the inductance will be released. The current will drop down from maximum to minimum. So this is again I1. When it reaches I1 again what is the cycle repeats? Again it will be turning on, since we are turning on the switch. So this kind of operation will be continuously taking place in your circuit. Next, what is our part? What about the output current? You may question, right? Based upon your switching frequency, right? Remember, based upon your switching frequency, your output current can be continuous or discontinuous, right? If your switching frequency is higher, your output current will be continuous. If your switching frequency is lower, then your output current will be discontinuous, right? Consider, in my case I am going to consider 100 kilohertz as switching frequency, so it will be continuous one. So this is my load current which is said to be continuous. So next one is, I have to measure my output voltage, am I right? In the case of DC to DC converters, you are going to take the output voltage as an average one. So it will be a sinusoidal waveform, stepped wave waveform, that will be your output voltage. That output voltage average value will be your bucked voltage or step down voltage, right? So it will be like a sinusoidal one. So you have to take a average of these things so that you will get the, what is your output voltage. That means we can say it as V0 DC, that means your DC output voltage. That will be an average one, right? It is not relevant to RMS. In the case of AC we will be discussing RMS, but in the case of DC we will be discussing about average value, right? This is the simple operation of your buck converter in short, right? Now we have seen the theoretical part of buck converter, right? There will be derivation for duty cycle, you can go through the book, right? For the duty cycle, by varying the duty cycle, you can adjust the output voltage of your buck converter, right? Now I am going to simulate the buck converter here. How we are going to simulate it in the system. Likewise, I am going to explain first on the board, then we can go to the system and we will start simulating it, right? So first one is, we need a DC source. So I am drawing, right, DC source. You can get it from MATLAB, right? I am going to use MATLAB version 2014A, right? You have to create M file or a Simulink model, it is enough. Simulink model, it is perfect. Simulink model, right? This is your DC voltage source. Next, I'm going to connect it to a current measurement block. This is current measurement block. You can search it on library. If you need this current measurement block, then you have to search it on library. MATLAB library as current measurement block. Next, you have to connect it to you have to search in the library as DC voltage source. You will get these components, right? This is one part, and you will get this another thing, right? From this part, you are going to connect it to the MOSFET switch, right? MOSFET or BJT, whatever may be. So let it be MOSFET for us. I am putting M as MOSFET, and then this has to be connected to the diode, right? So I am connecting the diode here. Remember, it is a diode, so it has to be connected like this, right? Here there is another terminal. Whenever you are putting a block current measurement in your simulation, you will get these three terminals. First terminal will connect here, and then second terminal will be connected to the next device. This terminal can be used for connecting to the scope, right? You can directly draw the line and connect it to the scope, but if you are drawing the line to the scope, what happens? You will be getting several lines that are connected to the scope, and you need several axes. There will be lot of confusions, like which line goes there, which lines go to source, like that. Several lines will be there. There will be lot of confusion. So in order to reduce the confusion, we are having a shortcut called go to tag and from tag. I am going to use this go to tag and from tag so that the diagram will be very simple. Let's see here. So from here, the current will be measured, right? Source current will be measured by means of this block. This particular current should be displayed in my final result, right? I am going to, so I have to transfer the result from my current measurement block to the scope, right? So I have to send the result, so I have to use go to tag. So you can search it in library, go to tag. Don't leave any space, you just search go to tag. You will get that from the library, right? So it will be like this. So this particular is used for, you can rename this tag by double clicking on it. So I am going to represent it as IS since it is source current. Now there are another components, that is nothing but our inductance and capacitance. It will be acting like a capacitor in our circuit, right? It will be acting like, it will be acting like a filter. Inductor come capacitance, they will be acting like a low pass filter, right? That has to be drawn here. So next I am going to draw the inductance here, right? The next component that we drawn in the basic circuit diagram is capacitance. Again I am connecting the capacitance here. The next basic component that we have drawn is, before that I will put another value, right? Here I can put a current measurement block. Again, what is this particular current, right? We can measure it. So again, there will be terminals, and this has to be, let me draw it again, and this has to be connected to the, this particular current measurement block can be used for load current measurement, I load, right? This is your resistive load. You have to measure the output voltage, right? So that you have to connect a voltage measurement block here. Another thing will be there, and you should connect it to the tag. This is again go to tag. This go to tag is used as, I will rename it as VL since it is load voltage. Here you can connect a display. Display is available in your library, you can use it, right? Display you can search in the MATLAB library, and this is nothing but your voltage measurement block. This is also available in your library, right? This is L, this is C. You can set the values of L and C, right? L and C values can be, for example, L value can be 1 or 10 millihenry, and then C can be 100 microfarad. Like that you can vary the value. Whenever you are using the switching frequency at higher end, so whenever you are using a high frequency, right, 100 kilohertz, your requirement for inductance and capacitance will be minimum. So our optimum value is, we should go for higher frequency, right? So that this particular values can be reduced. These all about these things is enough for a power circuit. So you can take all these components from your library. Nothing is needed. And another most important block is power. Guys, this is the most important block in simulation part, power GUI. It is nothing but graphical user interface. There is a two kind of operation. One is discontinuous mode and continuous mode, and then discrete mode. Now we are going for discrete mode of operation. You can change the mode from continuous or discrete by means of double clicking on it, right? You will change the value as discrete so that your value can be entered. Without this block, if you are simulating, then it will lead to error. So don't forget to put this block in your page. Without this, it will be an error, right? So I hope this is the entire power circuit. This is enough for a power circuit. Operation is similar, right? Next part is we have to provide, so as I mentioned earlier, we are using MOSFET as our switch. For that MOSFET, I have to provide gate pulse. Am I right? Without gate pulse, MOSFET will not function. So what type of tag we should use here, right? Let me put here, right? This should be a FREM tag. FREM tag in the sense somewhere we have to generate gate pulse, and that gate pulse should be given to this MOSFET gate, right? So I am using FREM tag. So here I have used go to tag, and here also I have used go to tag, and here also I have used go to tag, right? So IS and then IL and then VL, and then we are having gate. In this tag I am renaming it as G, right? Remember, we have used go to tag and FREM tags. Next we are moving to the control circuit. I will draw the scope separately. The board is not enough, I will draw this scope separately, right? Control circuit is the next part. Why control circuit, right? You may ask, you have to control this switch. Based upon the controlling parameter only, your output voltage will vary. For example, in my case, my input voltage is 100 volt. I want to reduce this voltage to either 69 volt or 48 volt or 9 volt based upon my needs, right? Now I am going to do that. So for that control circuit, what are the things that I need? Means first one is I need a relational operator, because I need relational operator for comparison. So I am going to use less than or equal to relational operator. So it is available in library, relational operator. So you have to generate PWM gating signals, right? For the PWM gating signals, you need two things. One is either a triangular wave or a constant wave. Triangular wave will be compared with the constant one, so we will get the PWM pulses, and that particular pulses will be given to the gate terminal of the MOSFET. So we need a triangular wave. For that we have to use this triangular waves. It is nothing but repeating sequence. In the library you can search it as repeating sequence, right? This repeating sequence should be given directly to the relational operator, right? Next part, what is that next part? We need a constant, as I mentioned earlier. So I am going to use constant, that is nothing but the value is 1. This also is available in your library, you can search for constant. Next, I need another important component, that is called voltage control, right? Voltage control block will be available in your MATLAB library, right? Voltage control, but the name will be different. It will not be like voltage control, it will be like slider gain. You have to take it from M library, MATLAB library, slider gain, right? This slider gain has to be connected to the relational operator, because these two things has to be compared, and based on that only PWM wave will be generated, and that particular PWM wave generated should be given to this gate, right? So this will be compared and we will be getting the PWM pulse, that, but this has to be given in the format of MOSFET requirement, right? So we have to use data type conversion block. It is also available in library, data type conversion block. So you can use that. So this particular PWM wave generated as output will be given to this data type conversion block. It will be converted in the form needed by this MOSFET gate. It should be sent, right? Next point is it should be sent from here to here, right? Here there is a FREM tag, but you have to send from here, so we have to use a go to tag here. So this is go to tag. Again I am renaming it as G. This is go to tag. Remember, the name should be same. Whatever thing that you are putting here, that means you are mentioning here. If it is go to tag, if it is represented as G, then the particular signal should be received somewhere else, right? In that particular point also the same symbol should be used. For example, here also G, this signal should be reaching here, so this is G here, right? Both the symbols should be, or both the letters should be same. Whatever notation you are using, that should be same, right? So next we have to measure, we have to see this in the scope, am I right? So we have to mention certain notations. I am renaming it as T1, and then this is T1 go to tag, this is T2 go to tag, all are go to, remember all are go to tag. I am using here, it is go to, here it is go to, and then here also it will be, you can use it here, right? Or you can use it here, right? You can put T3 here, right? It will be okay. It will be T3, again it is go to tag. So all are go to tag. So in this circuit we are only using one from tag, right? Only one from tag, all other are go to tag. So that's all about control circuit. This is your power circuit, this is your control circuit. Next we have to move on to the scope, where we are going to see our results. How we are entering this data, 100 kilohertz. As I said before, it is switching frequency is 100 kilohertz. How I am entering in the MATLAB, I will show it in the MATLAB simulation. So it will be easier for you to understand there. So next I have to draw the scope. I am drawing two scopes, right? Two scopes. One is for power circuit and another one is for control circuit, right? So there will be axis, number of axes, how many things you have to view, right? How many output you have to view, you have to put that much axis. Now I'm going to put 4 axes for the power circuit, right? So there will be 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we should use from tag. Remember, here we should use from tag. Why from tag? Because you are sending signal from here, right? Go to tag, and it should be received in this scope. So for example, this is your first go to tag, it is represented as IS, so I have to put IS here. So this particular output will be received through this from tag and it will be seen through the scope, right? Next one is, next to that is IL, so this is IL from tag, right? And next one is, it is VL, and again if you need gate, you can see that gate too. So these are all from tag, right? This is the part of power circuit. Next let me draw the control circuit. In the control circuit I am going to use a mux. As we know mux, what is the purpose of mux? Multiple inputs into a single output. I am going to use a mux here. In that mux I am going to provide 3 axes, 1, 2, 3, and here I am going to use 2 axes, right? One axis from the mux and another axis for displaying the gate. Then what are the 3 inputs here? For the mux we have to provide 3 inputs. No, I have provided 3 arrow marks, right? That is nothing but, again here I am going to use from tag. It is nothing but T1 from tag, T2 from tag and T3 from tag. So all are from tag. Remember, all are from tag. T1, T2, T3 is from tag and G is from tag again. You are going to use it, right? You are going to use this to view the results. That's all about simulation part. Hope you have understood in the board how, the only one thing that I have mentioned, that I have not mentioned in this, how to enter these values in the simulation, right? I will explain it in the system. You can see that you just draw this diagram in a paper and just keep it with you in hand, and then just pick the block from the MATLAB library and place it in your page, and you can start simulating. Simulating is that much easier if you are understanding this concept very well, right? Thank you for listening to this session.